Welcome to the Renewing the Mind podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Sanchez. Join with me, as always, my dad, Dr. Raul Sanchez. How you doing, Dad?
Amazing. Like back in the day at NDSU, we had a saying, those who stay will play. Those who play will be a champion. Once a champion, always a champion. And there she be right there. That's the evidence right there. Let's go.
And there is the ring kiss.
Let's go.
Hey, on this podcast, we teach you how to renew your perspective, move towards uncertainty, and find what's awesome about that in every situation.
Amen.
And never forget it. There's 2 times to be great: when you feel like it and when you don't. Today, we are starting, I shouldn't say starting. Today is how to thrive during the summer.
Yes.
Let me test audio real quick.
How to thrive through the summer so that we don't just coast, so that kids don't just become video game monsters and just fall apart brain-wise. So that's something we're working on for this summer to get your kids to absolutely, positively thrive. So how great would it be if we have a generation of kids who hit the school year on like a run, like they're well-conditioned, they're ready, they're challenged, they've already went through a summer of growth. That's the goal here.
Yes. So before we get started, if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you get notified when we get content, and then give this video a thumbs up. If you're listening to this wherever you consume your audio podcast, leave us a review, give us a 5-star rating. That way we can get this content out to the masses. Our YouTube channel is going crazy.
It's finally catching some traffic, you know, it's getting out there. We had a message today from a person in Colorado that talked about seeing Dirk Bach's testimony for the Living Legacy coaching that we do for its executive coaching. And she was like, this is well timing. They've got a men's group out there that they're running. I can't think of the town, Canton, Colorado. So that's a friend from the community now in a new community. So we got people all over who are just trying to see the podcast. And this is what we wanted to do, right? Like we laugh about it, but we made like what, $15 or something. But that was never the goal. The goal was literally to get content out as fast as we can and just stack the days, man. That's the whole thing. If you've been following us for a long, we talk about mastering the process all the time, because you never know the outcome, you never know the impact. But if you just put it out there, number one, we grow, we learn. Number two, people pick it up and learn and grow. And then before you know it, there's somebody that's had just this massive impact and they give you credit. We give the credit back to the Lord because a lot of stuff we teach are from the Bible.
Right.
Yeah, so that's pretty exciting.
Sweet. Yeah, because we're definitely not making any money because it costs us like $40 a month to just put on the podcast.
Yeah, well, like, new cameras, new mics. We talk about just getting in-ear buds. And
even just like our memberships from Buzzsprout and everything. But anyways,
yeah.
Today we're talking about thriving over the summer. You kind of went into it a little bit.
Yes.
You're going to give 3 tips on how to thrive. I talked in chapel today about 2 things that are key to keep your spiritual fire going throughout the summer. So I'll kind of bring that interject from time to time. But
okay.
Go ahead and get us started on some ways to thrive this summer.
Yeah, perfect. So I got it down. It's pretty easy. Kind of ran through it again a little bit ago, just a little bit before we started. But it's pretty easy, okay? So it goes like this, okay? 3 E's in 23. 3E in 23. That's pretty quick, right? 3E, 23. So I'm not sure what kind of kids you have, what grade they're in. So there's one thing for everybody. So 3E and 23. So we got explore. That's for primary level kids. We have experience. That's for junior high, maybe school agers. And then the last one is energy. And that's for high schoolers, maybe late middle schoolers, okay? 3E and 23. So you've got explore, you've got experience, and you have energy. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Primary, so we want to explore. The goal there is to build pathways. If you think about young kids need to explore. And if you think about their exploding brain, okay, so Tyler's youngest baby, Milana, she's 1.5 years. She's learning, I would say like 25 words a day. She's just flying, okay? 18 months, flying. And if we just like kept her in a box, literally not a box like child abuse, but let's just say we kept her in a house. Like we don't want to expose her to sun because skin cancer. We don't want her to drink anything. She could burn her tongue. Like we don't want her to eat anything. She could choke. So like we just kept her in this little box of like pre-toddler kind of stuff. And all she eats is like mushy, jars of food. She's not going to grow. So the whole process of her to growth is let her touch stuff, let her explore stuff, Let her renew her mind by literally building new pathways. So for that level of kids, we want to explore. I don't care. I mean, I'm not the boss here. Like, this is your family. Like, parks. Let her climb those ropes. She's going down a slide and you're like, okay, she's going to fall. She's going to jack her butt hard. She's going to get hurt. Let them experience some pain, and then just get up and dance and love her a little bit. Obviously, you don't want to get a head injury, but she can bounce on her butt. She got a diaper. Sometimes like those parks have a little bitty, like, I would call it a balance beam. It's kind of thin and it walks and it connects like this apparatus to that apparatus. People are like, oh, no, she's going to get hurt. Let them. This is where limiting beliefs start. I'm just telling you. Limiting beliefs, remember, if you look back a couple episodes ago, we did Limiting Beliefs podcast, and basically the shortcut to limiting beliefs is because of limiting behavior. So if you want to break free of limiting beliefs, push into new behaviors, okay? Limiting beliefs aren't so limiting. It's the limiting beliefs limit behavior. Make sense? So this first step is to get out, get dirty, get hands-on, get your kids out of the bubble. What's the show where that football dude was wrapped in bubble that we used to? Oh, Little Giants.
Little Giants.
Little Giants. Me and Tyler love that show. Like every Friday night or every time Mom had a Bible study, me and Ty watched that show over and over. We like wore out that VHS.
It's like my favorite show growing up, or movie.
There's a single mom. Not to pick on single moms. I was raised by a single mom, but like this single mom just was overprotective, and she wraps her kid for football practice in bubble wrap. So when I was writing this, I was like, get out of the bubble. Let your kids experience some stuff, right?
Yep.
So that's the first thing, all right? So explore.
The tough part about that is for parents is like, we don't want to be the parent that we always go worst case scenario, like that breaks his arm on the monkey bars,
right.
But in all reality, a kid that does that, their life's not over.
No.
I mean, if that's the worst case scenario, obviously we don't want that to happen.
Right.
But we also, on the flip side, don't want to raise a kid that never takes risks.
Correct.
So it's like you're trying to balance obviously don't let them climb to the top of the jungle gym and jump off.
No.
But maybe a scary slide or,
yes.
The balance beam that's a foot off the ground,
Right.
Because I know as soon as Milana or any of my kids, as soon as I start freaking out, like, whoa, don't do that. Even if they didn't feel it before,
yes,
they kind of like feed off of my like, whoa, be careful, be
yes.
careful. But till then, if I don't do that and I kind of exude confidence and boost them up, they keep that confidence even through whatever activity they're doing.
Yeah, that's correct. And remember, they respond to the words, right? Because we talk so much to the kids. But like Milana, she's 18 months. She doesn't have a lot of experience. Eliza's 4. She doesn't have a lot of experience, but her experience, is quadrupled, should be over Milana. Either way, either one of them are doing something. So like for a 4-year-old, she's exploring through the monkey bars. We're not just going to sit in the car and watch her, and then she just gets hurt, starts bawling. We're not there for her. We're going to like move quickly toward her. We see her. It makes us nervous. Our heart's moved. So now we move really quickly, kind of walk rapidly, but then with a big smile, right? Because it's the words that scare her. If we yell, watch out, then they're freaked out. Okay. Then they're going to go to the car and be like, no, I'm not going anymore. And now they're fight or flight are on, and there's nothing that's possible to have fun. So we just walk over toward them. We're going to kind of get close. The second they fall, we pick them up and love on them. And we just say, hey, you're so brave. Hey, you're so strong. Hey, I'm so happy that you tried. I'm so happy you went for it. You're so brave. And we just brag about their attempt, not like coddle them and baby them, right? Obviously, you hug them, nurture them, kiss them, but we brag about their attempt. The most important thing is when they fall, we're there immediately, not to prevent them from falling. That's if that makes sense to you.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, number 2.
Number 2. So now we're talking about elementary kids, second graders, maybe third graders through 6th. And these kids want experience. And the number one thing experience does is to build trust. So riding a bike this summer, so we can set a goal. We could say, hey, how about we take your training wheels off this summer? And they're going to be like, no. They're going to be like, no, Dad, you can't do that. No, I'm telling Mom, or vice versa. Like, no, Mom, you can't do this. You can't make me. I'm telling Dad. Because what they want to do is they want to split you guys up, and they want an advocate to say it's okay to stay in the comfort zone. It's okay that you don't grow this summer. That's not okay as a parent. I'm just telling you. Now, if they say, no, I'm not doing my bike, say, okay, then how about we learn a scooter? No, I'm not learning a scooter. So-and-so fell and, he jacked his elbow. Okay, then we're buying some rollerblades. I want you to think about this. Like, what's one experience we could guarantee them that they can grow trust in you as a parent? And the most thing that I would tell you, the top rated one that I deal with kids like this age over the summer is we talk about, vacationing. So like, hey, have you ever been on a tube? No way, I could fall. There could be like big fish in there. Like, so there's so many anxieties about that. And I tell the parents like, hey, look, don't be that dude where you're trying to flip your kid. So like go to a cove, go to a nice easy circle. And we want at least 10 times on the tube where you're definitely not going to make them fall. And even then, like I remember my kids, like, you shut down the boat and you shut down the boat too fast, you fall forward, and they just like dump their face anyway. So,
Yeah, you drown them in the water.
but you're not trying to. That's just like a dad mistake thing, wish I was a better boater kind of a thing. But the whole goal here is to get them to launch on something. I promise you, and this is how it usually works. Two things here in this thing. If you push them as a parent, you're going to see two things. Let's say middle, 3/4 through the summer, and they've tackled a couple things on the list. Like, I want a tube. I want to be able to jump off the boat when we dock, and I want to be able to jump off the side of the boat or the platform or something like that, okay? So tube and jump off the platform. As soon as they hit one, they hit two, they will knock down 5 or 7 things, like on their own, like jump off the dock, like they'll go into the water and open their eyes. They'll do all kinds of things, and they'll tell you, hey, I did this, I did this. And toward 3/4 into the summer, when I have a kid come in, and I'll say, hey, did you knock out that thing? And they'll just kind of go like that, and they'll just show you more numbers, because two things that always happen. Number one, I wish I would have done it sooner. And number two, one goal is too easy, man. Give me more. Every single kid, I literally have never had a kid that has tackled one and then just done for the summer. One turns into 3, 5, 7, 12, I promise you. And then the parents look to me and they'll say, do you honestly think I'm ruining my kid because I'm the one who says, hey, we tried to tube once, he fell, he was coughing up water, and then I just got panicked, so I didn't let him go again. I'm like, that's just normal. You're not ruining your kid. If you leave him like that till he's 55, then he'll always have a grudge towards you, and he'll have these limiting beliefs, right? But if you circle back, like right now, you're circling back and just say, hey, you know what? We gave you enough break. Now let's keep pushing, okay? Yep. The number one thing here is to get a kid to launch and build trust. That's the big one.
Okay. We got a question here.
Okay.
I'll throw it on the screen. There we go. It says, how do you deal with a child who sees others get injured from a sport and they already made up their mind they aren't going to try that sport anymore because of that one incident they witnessed? She followed up with, in fear of experiencing what they witnessed and don't want to happen to them.
Yeah, the number one...
basically traumatized through that particular experience, but it's through someone else because they saw someone else get hurt.
Yeah, the number one thing to do is try to find that kid, look that kid up, and then ask the question, are they still stuck? Or is that kid renewing? Is that kid growing? Is that kid just pushing forward? And you'll see most of the time when a kid gets injured, they bounce back. Now, let's say a kid slides into a base and breaks a leg. That kid might not finish baseball that summer or softball. She may not do it again that next year, but she'll pick up soccer. And the whole goal is to help them understand, like, we don't know how tough you are. We don't know how strong you are. You don't know yet. But if you break something, it comes back stronger. And that's really true. So you can just make it understand, like, hey, your human body is incredible. It self-heals. And when your bone grows back, it's almost stronger every single time. And so, hey, I'm not worried about that. And that's one wreck thing. It's a fluke. It doesn't happen all the time. But what if you play and you don't? What if you play and you're the all-star? What if you play and you get a trophy? So when a kid opens up what ifs, we combat what ifs with what ifs. Like, what if I'm not the guy? What if God has developed you to be that guy? Does that make sense?
Yep.
And so what we don't want to do is we don't want to say, hey, stop worrying. You're being a baby. Hey, stop. We want to validate, like, hey, it's possible. You saw this happen to Sarah, and I'm sorry that it happened to Sarah, but I promise you, let's talk to Sarah and let's see how she's doing. So if you know that person's leveled up, get them in touch, and they'll be like, hey, it was scary. It was whatever, but it's cool now because now I know this, right? There's growth in that pain, so we have to help the kid do it. And the second piece is circle back and then say, but what if you are going to be great? What if you are going to make the all-star team? What if this is your launch into, all-stars?
Yeah. I always try to tell the girls, like, if they do see that, or when we're talking about it, we always try to go over worst case scenario. Mm-hmm. So like in soccer, if you're a goalie, okay, let's say you get the ball kicked at your face, or she saw the girl, like in this comment, get the ball right off the nose.
Yeah.
I'm like, is she okay? Yeah.
Yes.
Did she cry for 15 minutes? Yeah. Did they get a pack of ice? Yeah. Is she going to go home? Yeah. She going to play Barbies? Yeah.
Yes.
She going to play soccer next week? Yeah. So like try to get him, like, even if that did happen, what's worst case scenario?
Yes.
You're in a cast for 6 weeks.
That's correct.
And then, like, we can survive through that. You can make it through that.
Yeah. And it depends on how old
that's a good one.
Depends on how old that child is. There's a video on our YouTube, Renew the Mind podcast. And his name's Parker. And basically he's talking about, like, the Renew the Mind process. So basically he was in a serious car accident. His hip wasn't getting blood. He couldn't, his foot was like fused. And they basically told him, you're not going to walk again. And then they said, okay, you have a really high risk of not walking again, stuff like that. And he's an outdoors guy. He's a guide. And so literally we started talking. I talked to him about some scriptures where you speak to your flesh. and you use scriptures and you open up your mouth over your enemy, which is his enemy was fear at that time. He doesn't go into a lot of details on the podcast, but there's enough there for you, which is during that pain, I renewed my mind. During that pain, I had a better perspective. I started speaking to my body. I started telling my foot and my leg and everything that what it's supposed to do. And coming out of that injury, he's 10 times stronger. And he sent me a picture when he wasn't supposed to ever walk again. And then they told him he won't be able to walk on bad terrain. He sent me a picture with a duck, his first duck, opening day, walking in muddy terrain on that leg that's not supposed to work. So those are the kinds of things we need to help kids. There's plenty of evidence of kids falling and cracking and breaking and just falling apart. Where's the other evidence? The what if, like what if you could be in a car accident, and what if that car accident 10x is your mindset? Nobody talks about that stuff, but it's everywhere. It's all around us. Great question though. Thank you.
Okay. Bring us to point number 2.
Oh, 3. Point number 3.
Oh, yeah.
So that was experience. Okay, point number 3. So now we're talking about high schoolers, even some college kids who come home for the summer. So number 3 is energy. And this is the biggest thing I want you to think about. Like right now, we're supposed to be building confidence, okay? They're high schoolers. We have to build confidence. Now, the funny thing about confidence is the Bible says, don't throw off your confidence. Like confidence is your belt. Think about your belt. You know, you got your pants on, you throw off your belt, your pants fall, right? So the belt is where all your tools are. Think about your sword, right? All those kind of things that you lock in, your purse, your money, everything like concept wise is hooked to your belt. So if I throw off my belt, all my confidence falls. The reason kids don't have confidence is because they throw off their belt. So here's what I'm telling you. Like they've got equipment to do. They've got equipment to use. They have to perfect something. Let's say, you know, they're in trombone and they've got to perfect it. And then they get mad. So they push down their trombone. They're like, this sucks. I'm done. Now, the best thing I can tell you this is back when Tyler was a kid, Terrence was a kid, Tavian still, Valencia still, it's a chronic mindset. And you got to really weed these guys out, like just like they're weeds. The person who doesn't want to try hard, weed that person out. If she's telling your daughter, like, why you try so hard? Like, who you trying to impress? Like, why are you always trying to level up? Like, and there's some dude who's like, bro, you're not all that. Like, chill out. You know, this isn't the Olympics. Like, so what? You won. Big deal. What'd you win? Nothing. No, you win confidence, and you win confidence, and you win confidence, you win confidence, you win confidence. Then you stack those days. Nobody can come against you, right? And then somebody else comes against you. They do, because there's haters, and they're like, dude, why are you trying to be all that? Like, nobody cares. Like, you're never going to be an influencer. You're never going to be amazing. You're never blah, 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 blah. I don't have to say crap to that chump. You don't either. And you just say, hey, we don't worry about what people say. We don't worry about what people think. We don't worry about other people's climbs. Let's take a look at your notes. You broke a PR here. You broke a PR here. You broke a PR here. Take a look. And people always ask me this, like, what can you do? Well, like when I was in high school, I had to earn my own money, and I paid $300 and some bucks back in the 80s. And I went to Nebraska football camp because it was something I wanted to do. And I wanted to test myself. There was like 300 and some athletes. I don't remember. Obviously, high school athletes, I think maybe freshman through senior. I don't remember. But the crazy thing is like, during that time, you know, you try all these drills, you do whatever. It's a 3-day camp. You stay in the dorms, blah, blah, blah. But at the end, they gave me a certificate, and I ranked number 13th out of all those players. And the whole reason I wanted to go there is I wanted to test myself, because in my head, I knew I was going to go play college football, but everybody around me is like, yeah, so am I, or yeah, I'm going to be president, right? Those kind of people. Like, you know, even parents were like, hey, Sanchez, what are you doing this summer? And I was like, well, I'm going to go to this camp, and I'm going to put my name in, and I'm going to, this time next year, or this time in 2 years, I'm going to be a college football player. And they're like, oh, that's lofty. I thought I was going to start a business too, but you know, crap happens, you know, poop hits the fan. And at the time I didn't say anything, but like, there's all those people who cast that doubt into you. You have to allow your kid to say, okay, what's one thing this summer you want to level up? What's one thing you want to test yourself? It could be a tennis camp, it could be a band camp. It could literally be driving. Like, hey, Dad, I'm afraid of driving in the winter. Like, is there something we can do? Yeah, there's like police academy stuff where you can sign your kid up. They teach you how to drive on wet. I don't know how they'd fake snow, but they can teach you how to drive on a wet course. There's all these ways where we can level up a kid. Any kind of competition, any kind of stress, anything where like, you know, when our kids were younger, we would have a day where they'd cook for the family, you know. Tavian made some really good like shrimp lasagna, or no, shrimp linguine, something like that.
Yeah, scampi or something.
Yeah. So shrimp with noodles. I don't remember what he called it, but and it was really good. Like, I mean, literally like restaurant style good, you know. And this is the concept. I want you to think about high schoolers pushing forward to level them up, right? And it could be anything. Like, let's make some sushi rolls. It could be anything. Like, let's start a YouTube channel, right? hey, I want to start a business somewhere where I'm going to detail cars. Like, do you have a few friends? It can be anything. And here's the number one thing. The number one reason why people fail at what they do, and they can term failure however they want to. The number one reason is because they give up on themselves. Did you hear me? The number one reason is because they give up on themselves, because they started here, they made a little bit of progress, but because they think they have to go this far, that scares them, so they quit. And nobody is saying, hey, but you made some progress. Hey, but you did it. Hey, but this is getting better. And that's what we have to help them do.
Yeah, and the other thing is they don't want it, if they see you succeed, it in some way hurts their self-esteem.
Yes.
Especially for those try-hard kids. It's like,
Yes.
if I can get you to not try, then I feel better about myself.
Yes.
Because if you and your effort and attempts are seen as success, then I'm seen as a failure.
Yes.
And so if I can get you to drop down to me, I mean, that's what I hear all the time in middle
Yes.
school.
Yes.
It's constantly, why would you study? Or, it's like the kids that do get the good grades always come back with, well, I barely even studied.
Yes.
It's like, it's cool to maybe try to succeed, but with the littlest effort as possible.
Yeah.
And I grew up that way too. So I'm not saying it's not a normal thing.
Right.
It's how do we stop that? And how do we understand that effort is okay?
Yeah.
Putting effort into it and failing is also okay.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
a good one.
And so the number one way I would help you to understand this is help the kids understand, like, watch a couple horse races, just some clips, go to YouTube. Like, we just finished the Kentucky Derby on Saturday, but every single horse has blinders. And the whole reason is this is a you versus you game. Like, I'm supposed to be focused on my game, my run, my pace, just me and my jockey. Like, we got a plan. And the horses have the blinders. And that means I'm not looking at what everybody else is doing. Like, hey, we're not going to win because number 12 jumped out. Well, they don't know the stats, but number 12 is a get out of the gate fast horse, but he poops out later. Our race is different. We're slow starters, but we're strong finishers, right? We just have to kind of stay in our lane, just keep our eyes focused. And the number one goal for these guys is to build that confidence with laser focus. Now, if you go all summer and your kid just learned how to make 3 sushi rolls, that's a win for the summer because they broke through the fear. They broke through that ability to quit when it gets tough. They broke through that idea that the first one looks crappy. Like, that doesn't look like the picture. How does it taste? Well, it's got good flavor, I guess. Okay, keep leveling up, okay?
Yeah, it's progress.
That's
Steps in
all
the
of
right
it.
direction.
All of it.
Okay,
all
so
of
go
it.
over them again. We got number 1, explore. Number 2, experience. What'd you say the last one was?
Energy.
Energy.
Because every single high schooler,
Energy.
and if you think about that, like, they pull back, right? Even if you got like a B, like, yeah, I never studied, right? Or you're like, dude, good job, man. Hey, you're the 6th man on the basketball team. Like, any idea if you're going to be a starter next year? You're like, man, I barely tried that stuff. Who cares?
Yeah, because summer is seen
They
as
pull
like such
back.
a break for people.
No.
So if you can get them to put energy in something else, obviously it might not be history or science or social studies. It could be.
It could be.
But it just needs to be something different.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, anything different. Like, what if their goal is like, hey, I want to jump off a rock this summer? You have to just Google some lakes, go to some state parks, get up to some places, and some things they might not do. Like, yeah, that one's too high. Okay, then fall back. Let's try this one.
Yeah.
And then just progress. Whatever.
I know a family. If you're from Sioux City, you probably know them, the Potters, Josh and Melissa Potter. But they have I think they call it my no bummer summer or something, or not a bummer summer.
Okay.
And they got a list of like 30 things that they're going to do. And I know a couple of them are like a certain kid, like Tyler gets to pick whatever the family does that day.
Okay.
And it's like camp in the backyard. It's like, do something that Raul wants to do. And the whole family has to join in.
Like an exploratory summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tonight you get to pick anything and everything the family does.
That's awesome.
Obviously the limits are not going
Yeah.
like Disney World or something.
Yeah.
But you get to pick the dinner, the food, the activity.
That's very
so we're
cool.
not talking about doing things like maybe it's the Nebraska football camp.
Yeah.
And, maybe it's a kid wants to try fishing. So the whole family joins around that one kid that wants to try
Yes.
fishing. And
Yeah.
you go out and fish or,
Yeah.
go to a certain nature park or go try to look for a certain bird or mushroom hunting right now
Yeah. All of it.
is in season.
Yeah.
So
And
it doesn't have to be these crazy things.
No, and if you sit down a kid in any level and they go, I don't know, make a list. You know your kid better than we do, right? So make a list and then just give them like, top 10 kind of ideas, and then they'll pick one. And then from there, just keep moving. The most important thing we can teach you is to have your kids jump in. Now, I work with a lot of college kids. In fact, like, I would say young adults is probably my specialty. And then also like ADHD, anxiety kind of stuff. But the number one thing I hear when they're moving through high school or college, and it could be the same kid or different kids, but they always say this, man, I should have just jumped in sooner. And I always play dumb. You all know my language. And I'm like, wait, what? I don't understand. What do you mean jump in? and they'll be like, like put yourself out there. And I was like, I hear that a lot. Your generation says that 24/7, like put yourself out there, like stand on the curb and wait for somebody, and they just, whatever, like you're being dumb. Okay, what does put yourself out there mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like go to this group, go to soccer intramurals, go to this history book club, go to the rock wall climbing club, go to intramurals, just try something. And what they start to finish, they start to realize, I tried, but I met one person, but the group kind of sucks. Okay, so you learn something. They try another thing, like, hey, I wasn't as good as that, so I'm going to go back to the group that I thought I sucked at, but now I'm going back to that group. And then at the end of the year, I'll say, hey, if you had your little brother coming in behind you as a freshman, what would you say? And they always say this: I would have done it sooner. Did you hear me? I would have done it sooner. So if we can teach those kids to jump in the day they show up because of summer, see, they've broken down some anxieties during summer. Now they hit the fall and they're ready to go day one, that week one. So that 6 weeks don't go by and they're like, I never joined a club because I was too afraid. Make sense?
Yep.
So this is the 3E in 23.
Explore, experience, energy.
That's correct.
I put them in the comments, so if you didn't jot that down or missed them, they're in the comments. If you got any other questions, throw them into the comments as well. If you're watching live, we'll answer them on the show. If you're rewatching this back, we go back. We get notified, obviously, anytime a comment comes up.
Yep.
We'll go back through and answer those questions, even if you rewatch this.
Sometimes we got to get better at that, too. I see, like, a couple of weeks went by. I didn't see a notification.
I usually, when see it, I send it to you.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, there's a comment there, or ask. I just have two things, and it's more from the pastoral side of it.
Yeah.
So, number one is you got to stay in a routine.
Yeah.
So I know, like, when I was growing up, I had to get to summer workouts and I had to do my chores. But other than that, I was had a pretty free summer. So, but there were some things, you made me read a book during the summer, and I had to do certain things like that. But more on the spiritual side of it, especially in my role as youth pastor or now as the chaplain at the school, so many kids either don't attend youth group during the summer, or their parents kind of are just gone and vacationing, so Sunday's not the emphasis anymore. And some churches take youth groups off during the summer, and so it's a time to really start owning your faith. So you got to figure out a routine, whether you read scripture and pray at 1 p.m. in the afternoon or 5 p.m. or midnight, or if you do morning workouts and you're coming home from morning workouts 8 in the morning, whatever that is, pick a time throughout the summer that you just stick to your daily devotions. Yeah. We get out of that routine, and sometimes we get out of the routine with God. You can't take summers off with your relationship with Jesus.
No.
And number two is stay in your community. There's a scripture in Corinthians that says bad company corrupts good character.
Yes.
And so
That's
I
true.
saw that personally when I came back from Evangel, especially in college. I would be around my Christian friends, and I would come home and I would hang out with kids and friends that I loved and were awesome, but didn't necessarily have the same morals and values as me. And as the summer weeks went on, I began to compromise my faith and my Christian values. So stick to a group of people, whether that's the youth group kids or church kids or cousins that love Jesus. Stick to people that will encourage you to push your faith forward through summer. Because theoretically, we have more time during the summer than we do during the school year. So you should really be able to emphasize your relationship with Jesus during these summer months now than ever. And as the youth pastor, that's what we pushed all the time. When I was youth pastoring at Morningside, man, we would ramp up stuff during the summer because kids were able to and had time and weren't stuck into the routines. And so I think we need to do that from the parent side of it, put a little bit more pressure on kids to, follow Jesus, and maybe listen to a podcast a week or dive into a sermon or do some devotions. Like, not say, oh, summer's off, take it off from your relationship with Jesus as well. That's a tough thing to do.
Yeah. And the thing I would add about the routine thing is sticking to the routine. And during the summer months, we've always said this, unless it was a special occasion, you really only get like an hour later at night, and you only get to sleep in an hour later in the morning, because you don't really want your sleep routine to fall off that much, because then your eating routine falls off that much. And then you have zero energy, and that takes away from the whole idea of, hey, let's grow this summer, right? So that's the whole idea of the 3E and 23 is let's grow this summer. So the routine is really going to help a lot.
Yep. And that's going to look different for everyone. If you got a summer job, but really the community piece is what a lot of kids miss during the summer because they're not in classes, they're not seeing their friends during the school year.
Yeah.
And so kids they get really lonely during the summer, especially some of those kids that really aren't the ones that always get invited to or asked to do certain things. So I was trying to emphasize reaching out to people, making sure we stay in that community, sticking with friends that will encourage us to live a godly lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really quickly, like last week, or actually 2 weeks ago, we took Valencia to a entrepreneur conference because we knew there was going to be, it's for adults and kids. And we wanted her to see some people who are doing amazing things. And there was a 12-year-old who started a YouTube channel, I think 11 months ago. And he has 12 million followers, something crazy like 36,000 watch hours, if that makes sense. Or maybe, I don't think it's 36 million. That sounds like a ton. But I think it's 36,000 watch hours, 12 million followers in 11 months.
It's got to be more than that because we're close to that.
Okay, so maybe it's 36 million. So that I don't remember YouTube stuff, but so it's 12 million followers. That's a fact. I know that. And then I believe 36 million view hours. And so I don't know the money game there, but that dude's, he's leveled up. He's making a lot of money. He's 12, and the whole idea is, what's your kid do at 12? Follow Instagram stuff. Follow influencers. Just shake their butt and do TikTok dances. Like, lay down and just got every single program memorized on like Netflix or something. Like, I really want you to think about this. This is the time your kid's brain is growing. And think back to the 1.5-year-old we talked about earlier today. They're picking up 25 words a day, maybe even more. And I get that you can say, well, she's a baby, everything's new. I get it. But a lot of babies don't grow that fast, I promise you. I'm not just saying that because she's my grandbaby, but I'm just telling you that a lot of babies don't grow that fast, I promise you. And the reason is, we just keep pushing our whole family to explore. And the whole idea is, the more data you can touch and collect, the more your pathways level up, the faster you grow. So I just want you to think about this. What if your kid gives you some flack? No matter what, you're either going to try to explore, you're going to try to experience, you're going to try to build energy, and your kid says no. Then I want you to say this. What if at the end of the summer, whatever issue you're dealing with, like, what if at the end of the summer you could ride your bike and cruise, not only with no training wheels, but what about no hands? Hey, what about that, huh? How about that? You start pushing energy to your kids. Before you know it, they're like, dude, we'd have to go to a parking lot where I won't hit rocks and I won't like hit a curb or something. Like, okay, bet, we'll go to a parking lot. And this is what happens. Your kid starts to have a level up. They start to renew their mind by the visual side and based on your energy that you put in. If you do this, like, hey, how would this look for you this summer? You could ride your bike with no training wheels. And what if you could do no hands? And they go, stop, Dad, you're being rude. Okay, whatever, I tried. And then you walk away. Well, that's where it ends, right? Don't give up on your kid that way. The whole idea is we got to teach your kids how to push energy. It might start with you sometimes, is what I'm saying. Okay?
Yeah, or the other thing is you join in with them.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Okay, hey, if you do that, I'm going to do this. I'm going to learn something else, or we could, do something together. There's a whole bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
Sweet. Any other final thoughts?
I just have fun with that energy.
Experience energy.
Yeah, 3E and 23, explore, which is build pathways. Then we have experience, which is build trust. Yep. And then the last one is we are building energy, and that's building confidence.
Sweet.
Okay?
Hey, don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and ring that bell so you get notified with new content. Never forget it. On this podcast, we teach you how to renew your perspective, move towards uncertainty, and find what's awesome about that in every situation. We love you. Peace out.
There we go. Peace.